I might be, most definitely am introducing this animation studio to most everybody here. Me, myself, I had only known it existed about a month ago. But I was really captivated by kind of the story and how they've kind of recently been a little bit in the news. But if you don't know what it is, obviously Studio Ghibli, it's an animation studio. They're based out of Japan. They're not as big in America, obviously, because probably nobody's heard of it. But they're huge over in Japan. Everybody loves it. Think Disney, think Universal. It's a really big deal over there. The studio itself, they're responsible for about 4 Oscar-nominated films. That's what they do. They make animated films, shows, shorts. They made one movie in particular, Spirited Away. It was the first and only hand-drawn, non-English language film to win Best Animated Picture. So they're a really big deal. A lot of their films have made over hundreds of millions worldwide, and they've become the industry standard when it comes to animation. And what sets them apart is, what makes them different is how they make their movies. This man right here, the guy behind it, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but his last name is Miyazaki. So Mr. Miyazaki, that's some of the characters in the movies up there. And what he's big on, what he loves, is hand-drawn animation. He's a big believer in no computers in his movies, so painstakingly, page by page, frame by frame, character by character, he makes his movies. So one little mistake could mess it up, and that's what he's admired and respected for. There was once just a 4-second scene in one of his movies. He spent a year and 3 months just on that little scene. It was like a busy street or something, and he animated each little character's face, and he really takes it to heart. He takes it personally, and it's a big deal. So you can really imagine just the effort that goes into each one of his films and why he's such a big deal in the industry. He's not only remembered necessarily for the fun stories in his movies, but the emotional impact that it has. I think his most recent Oscar-nominated film was a movie about him coping with the deaths of his friends. So he's really passionate about what he does. But even with this, even how successful he's become, how admired he is, everything he's done is starting to crumble. With the rise of artificial intelligence, pictures, drawings that he makes can be rendered in just 30 seconds when it would take him literal years to create. So as an example, I took this picture, kind of famous picture of Michael Jordan. That's him up there, and I put it in ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. I said, make this picture Studio Ghibli art style. And in about like 45 seconds, that's what it gave me. It's really crazy, the spitting image of what he would draw. It looks just like the picture, and that's 45 seconds. It's really crazy. And it really brings into perspective your purpose in life. And no matter what you do, someday something will make it meaningless, worthless. There's always going to be something to devalue everything you've done. Solomon in the Bible came to this realization himself. Let's turn to Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Solomon was the most wealthy, wise person on the planet. He was well respected, but he didn't necessarily live his life in the right way. Everything he did was to build himself up, and he put his trust, he put his faith in all his works, his possessions, and how people viewed him. But it's towards the end of his life, at the end of Ecclesiastes, and he's starting to realize none of it really even mattered. Somebody eventually is going to inherit his wealth, and centuries from now, nobody's really going to care anything he did. And so he writes in verse 13 of Ecclesiastes chapter 12, "The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." So he's lived his whole life trying to be the best he can be at what he does, but he realized it doesn't mean anything if he didn't do it for God. So if we're supposed to live a life of joy and fulfillment and in our purpose, how exactly are we supposed to go about that? Well, we have an example, and that's Jesus Christ in the Bible. Jesus lived his life physical as a human, and yet he had a purpose of serving God. Turn to Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. Meant to talk about, in Matthew chapter 4, Jesus is tempted with so many physical things, things that any human in their right mind would have loved and enjoyed. But he didn't let it get in the way of his purpose. He didn't let his physical wants and needs get in the way of him ultimately serving God. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. So in all that we do, in order to have our purpose truly fulfilled and find real joy, is to do everything for him, do everything in Jesus. And Jesus was so focused on this ultimate purpose of being good in God's service. He lived a perfect life and went to the cross and died for you. And his actions in his physical life did not only make an impact on the people he was around, but transcended centuries and centuries. No matter what he did, nothing could crumble, nothing could make useless of anything he had done. Unlike Mr. Miyazaki, unlike Solomon, everything he did transcended forever. So if you yourself want to find your purpose in him and live eternally with him, transcend time, you need to make a change and live for him, just like Jesus lived for you. If you want to change that, please make it known to us and come forward as we stand and sing.